think you will not see an index fall being very big, because we are also believing that Trump will win. Let's see whether that happens or not. I hope it does. So if Trump wins, US market will be good. Although in theory, the US market doing well initially will be at the expense of emerging market, because China में वो कहेंगे कि टैरिफ लगा, अगर लगाएगा पहले तो टैरिफ, लेकिन जब भी लगेगा it will be after Feb. वो Jan 20th को तो president बनेगा. बीच में people will say, and I also believe that he will not really do it to the full extent. Maybe it's a bargaining, because इतना brainless तो नहीं होगा कि 50% 20% टैरिफ लगा दो. But it is the current issue which is there. But I think the world will be okay, and as a market, I mean. So if the world is okay, we can be down, but we are not going to be like falling apart. And we are already down. And our year-to-date return of the Nifty is now like 11%.
Welcome everyone to this webinar. This is a special webinar. We have kept with Samir. I think, for last 3 Diwalis, we have been lucky to keep webinar with you, Samir. This is a Diwali edition that we thought of again doing with you, because, who is better than you? You are the most learned, one of the most learned fund managers. And, period of, I would say, buoyancy that we have seen since Diwali 2023 till maybe Diwali 2024. I have never seen such buoyancy in markets in my career of last, I would say, 18 years. So far, I remember. And I can tell you, broad markets, I think, went up by almost 40%, mid caps and small caps, and front lines have gone up by almost 20%. And within broad markets, there are more than, I think, 20 stocks which would have gone up by 10 times. And many stocks in last almost 1 year went up by even, 30 times. There are a few stocks I remember which went up by even 30 times in last 1 year, a period of just 12 months.
That I have no idea. Then I've never seen these stocks.
Right. Even I would not know. But there are news articles which I keep reading around. Diwali. There are news articles which are coming up. But definitely, the period was quite buoyant, and that is where a somewhat correction that has happened this time is being welcomed. And in fact, investors kind of are divided in 2 parts. Few investors believe that the correction which has happened is like nothing in front of whatever rally that has happened, and few investors who are of the belief that the liquidity is so much that even this 10% correction in the front line that we have seen is something which is very decent, and maybe more correction may not actually happen because liquidity is too high. But obviously, we want to understand more from you from here on, that what are the kind of your thoughts on this period. And before we start, I wish you very happy Diwali.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you. Thank you very much, and happy Diwali to everybody. So first thing is, it's 30 times what nobody has seen. But if these stocks are up 30 times in 1 year, then they're going to fall 90%. I can tell you without knowing their names. But I just put some numbers on the market, which I want to show you, and then we'll talk about what is happening right now. Okay, just let me figure out how this works. One second here. Okay, so I have to do start, right? Or next, start. Okay, so first let's put the numbers in perspective. Let it come up. Hopefully it comes up on its own, right?
Yeah, it should.
Here it is. Okay, so just see the number. This, by the way, I made myself. So there's no formatting, right? And this is dated today. So I've done it today in office. So last 10 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever, you can see Nifty is up broadly in the same range, 13-15%. And the 500 index, which is what we call the market. You cannot call the market as some 20-50 stocks also if they have gone up a lot, but I'll break it down further. So it's up 14, and 16, 14.7 and 16. So for you question, Kamal, what do you think is the return for the last 3 years?
So you're saying last 3 year returns for Nifty 50 or Nifty 500 or both?
No, both. I'm saying you can see this is the market.
I think 18%.
Okay.
Average.
So last 3 years is the lowest that we've ever had for Nifty, which is a large caps. But it is 70% of my market. What to do? Now, if you look at 500, it is not out of line with history. Now, there is a trick in this. Trick is people will say, oh, but why are you not using 5-year data? And I will say I will show you 5-year data also. But why should I show you 5-year data? If you think 5-year data is very high, which is higher by the way than this, but that you should have complained 3 years ago. Because last 3 years se nahi hai. I'm talking about market. Then we'll come down to the sector. Okay. So first is that the 3-year Nifty returns are lower than any period. I will show you many period. आप कोई period ले लो, मतलब थोड़ा सा longer obviously. And longer ही होना चाहिए because short में तो obviously last 1 year of course Nifty has done better than this. But last 3-year returns are not high. Therefore, if today you're feeling nervous about the market, you would have been better off feeling nervous about the market 3 years ago. So now let's go to the next one. So make it 5 years, it looks odd. Not odd, but higher. But not wild for Nifty. Okay, but now this 5-year looks odd because by chance the 5-year below, 5 years ago number was pretty low. Now you make it 7-year. It again becomes okay. But कहने का मतलब ये है that if 5-year returns are very high, which is making this whole world violent, how come 7 years are not high? 9 years are not high. They are in range. Because previous 2 years, that is 17 and 18 were very bad. 18 and 19 were very bad. Which also I'll show you. So because of that, maybe part of the returns is because previous 2 years were very bad. I mean, it's a continuous game. Nobody knows what period to look. But broadly speaking, only to focus on 5-year, high 5-year mein the market is up 17% and the 500 is up 20% and the average is 14-15. Even if you said it is high, how much is it higher? It is higher by 3-4% versus the average. So 5-year means it is out. Supposing that the long-term returns are supposed to be this much. That also is a separate question. But you have, as a market, gone up 15-18% more over 5 years. मतलब 3% per annum more हो गया. तो क्या हो गया फिर? It is not some wild, because what you are seeing, I will show you on the next slide, and everything is obvious till it happens. But I'll tell you. Okay, so let's see this. First of all, you can focus on 5-year and feel hyper, but 7-year is not out of line. 9-year is not out of line. 9-year even includes the return apna post demon. So it has another big return. But now see this. So again, last 5, and now I put in the mid and small cap indices. So first lesson is this small cap index is a complete fraud. See the volatility it gives for no returns. See, here are the returns for 20 years, 15 years, small cap, not talking about mid cap. The small cap, the number of guys that fail is so many. आप देखो यहाँ के रिटर्न, स्मॉल कैप के रिटर्न कैसे है, NSE 500 for all the running up and down in life. Mid cap में क्या होता है? That fellow who has been around for a number of years, maybe 10 years, has reached a market cap of 1-2 billion. उसका कोई चांस है हीरो बनने का. He's able to handle some pressure, some interest rate rise, some economic. A small cap तो उड़ के खत्म हो जाते, पता नहीं लगता. But आगे चलो उसमें, ठीक है? But here you can see that in 20 years, the small cap index has not even beaten the 500 index. And even in 10 years, it is nothing great. Now see here 3 years. It is not sustainable. We've been saying it on TV all the time. Mid and small cannot go on like this. They cannot beat by 10% per annum. Nothing new has happened in the last 4 years, which has not happened in the last 100 years. If people think this is a bull run, let me tell you what is a bull run. In the calendar years 2004, 2005, 2006 and 2007, which was 4 years, what do you think was the return of the NSE 500 index annualized over 4 years? अभी आप रिटर्न देख रहे हैं, हम बड़े खुश हो रहे हैं that the 5-year return was how much, whatever it was, 20 था,
20%, yeah, around 20%,
18, 20 जो भी था. 4 to 7 का क्या रिटर्न था?
Around 20, I think around 25%.
39% per annum for 4 years. What do you think was my return in 1999, calendar year 1999, for the mutual fund, which was India's biggest mutual fund among the private sector, Alliance Equity Fund, how much was the return? That is what is called a bull run. It was up 280%. NAV of 10 point something became 38 point something in 1 year. Our balance fund, which is now owned by Birla, Alliance 95, which was Birla now, Alliance Birla, whatever, 95, was up 170% balance fund. वो था bull run. तो ये bull run कोई ऐसा नहीं हुआ which should shake the shit out of you. But अब क्या कि अब नंबर खराब हो गए, वो नेक्स्ट टॉपिक है जो अभी हुए हैं. बट जो 2-4 महीने पहले से बोल रहे थे हारे बड़े रिटर्न हो गए, मैंने कहा कौन से बड़े रिटर्न हो गए? क्योंकि आप स्मॉल मिड कैप की बात कर रहे हो और वो तो आई एग्री की बहुत ज्यादा हो गए एंड इट कैन नॉट सस्टेन. एवरी टाइम दे करेक्ट, इट हैज नेवर हैपेंड इन एनी फेज कि आफ्टर द 2-3 year bull run of that relative sector that it sustains. वो 100 साल में नहीं होता, अभी क्यों होगा? Because अब इसमें क्या हुआ, I was trying to do 25 and 30 years. उसमें actually I should have done with the mid cap. I think small cap index did not exist because Bloomberg would bring me back to 2001 or something. But I don't know, but maybe you can see it in US and other places. They are not so different. Okay, now let's go ahead. So this is the 5 year. It's too much difference from the overall market. Same thing, which is for 3 year. So mid and small 3 year में भी चले हैं. But when we talk to the world, when we talk to foreign investor, institutions, हम क्यों ऐसे बोले? हमारे हिसाब से market is 500 index. Market is not मेरे 4 stock. And in any case, the guys who become negative on the market, let us say I'm giving the name, doesn't matter, Parag Parikh, because he's like 20% cash. Uska apna return is not different from his life's return. So why is he getting hyper that somebody else is? They are saying, oh, too much. But it's not that they are up 280% or 180 or 100 or 50. They are up as much as the market is up, and that market and their benchmark is 500, which is 20%. But so the guys who come and say we are very negative, it's not that their own returns are materially different from what they've always been. Maybe 1-2% ज़्यादा होंगे, because I'm talking about the guys who are managing the flexi cap equivalent, because that is the market according to me. But you can see here that this 3-5 year difference with the trend line, with the big picture, with the larger index is too high. It's just too much. इतना नहीं हो सकता. और ये क्यों होता है? ये देखो अभी, sorry, फिर से आएगा ये. वो again I'm telling you the 3-5 वो तो same कर दिया. See, this is what happens when it corrects. The mid cap and small cap in those 2 years, when the 17, after the demon run till 19 end, the difference between 50 and small cap was 29% per annum for 2 years. वो up 9% है, वो 19% डाउन है. इसलिए वो बाद में सीधा हो जाता है. If I had done this from 14 to 17, which means taken the bull run of 14 and also take the bull run of 17, फिर सेम चीज लगेगी. This is the first time Mr. Modi is back. We have a demonetization, so the difference is 10%. एक बूम आता है, खत्म कहानी. So simple बात I have been saying that market is okay. आपको खाली slant change करना है, which means do not buy more small cap. यार इतना क्या हो जाएगा? It is कम कर दो, flexi cap ले लो, किसी का जो करना है करो या अपने आप करो. But क्यों जान के? The second thing is that now 3 results of 3 sectors have turned out to be very. ये मैं बंद कर देता हूँ just to show you. It is not, the large cap is not out of line. Even the 500 is not out of line. ये आपने क्या किया है? Hello?
You want to restart it?
Yeah, where did I get thrown out?
No, you are. We can see you.
Yeah, sorry, it got thrown out. So I'm saying the large cap is not out of line. Even if you take 500, it is not out of line. If you take solely small cap and mid cap, totally out of line. अब वो event क्या बनेगा किसी को नहीं पता. But I am saying everything in life is obvious. Everything. And now I'll tell you 3 sectors which have done badly in results. All were known. And we don't have any one of them. So first, 6 महीने से लोग बोल रहे हैं कि ऑटो सेक्टर में देयर इज डंपिंग. 3-4 weeks ago there was an article that Tata Motor might close down its plant. 6 महीने से या 3 महीने से मैं ट्विटर पे बोल रहा हूँ कि सारों ने, every foreign company has downgraded it. Every, from Volkswagen to वो कौन सी Stellantis to Ford to G, हर आदमी ने कह दिया नहीं. आज क्यों पैनिक हो गया? क्योंकि कल Volkswagen का प्लांट भी बंद कर रहा हूँ. अभी तक they had all downgraded. BMW, you can type and see. Everyone. India में there are so many articles, so many interviews on CNBC that वो फाडा versus पाडा वो दोनों लड़ते रहते हैं एक दूसरे से, that you know you have dumped, वो कहते हैं नहीं 88 पता नहीं कितने 4 months है, कोई कहता है 2 months है, but each and every article had come in the paper for the last 2, 3, 4 months, and now they say auto sector is doing badly. Second, for 3-4 months RBI guy is saying, actually more than that, because when this Paytm thing happened at that time से बोल रहे हैं कि यार ये जो दूसरी माइक्रो लेंडिंग है वो गलत हो रही है. We used to own at that time IDFC for छोड़ दो सबसे अग्रेसिव बैंक है. मतलब इसमें डीप रिसर्च क्यों लोग करना चाहते हैं? Every day they would say that MFI में ये है. नहीं जी. Third one which is bit bad is consumer. Consumer में this might be a bit institutional, but yeah, like these 1 or 2 brokers, they had written 6 months ago, you know, all these things that there is, and I also been saying that the basket of the customer has changed. They, just because there is rain, he's not going to buy a soap and shampoo. You have taken away 30,000-40,000 crores from the public on hike of telecom price. मतलब सपोज आपने 30 रुपीज प्राइस बढ़ाई थी ना इन्होंने, भारती वगैरह ने, पर मंथ. So 30 into 12, 360 रुपीज बढ़ा दिया. So 360 into let us say पता नहीं 80 करोड़ 100 करोड़ जितने भी नंबर ऑफ मोबाइल प्रीपेड हैं, so आप 36,000 करोड़ ले गए उनसे. वो क्या बारिश करेगी उनका? But the public has chosen a different thing. उसमें I'm not remembering, but there were so many obvious things that that the consumer is not, because for so many months these guys were saying rural is better than urban. एंड अभी छोड़ो, 1 महीना पहले डाबर और मैरिको ने, आई थिंक मैरिको ने गाइड डाउन किया था कि कोई डिमांड नहीं है. वो सडनली इट ऑल कम्स टुगेदर बिकॉज एफआई सेलिंग हो गई फॉर अ मे बी अनरिलेटेड मे बी रिलेटेड रीजन. सो नाउ माय कंक्लूजन इज योर मार्केट विल स्टिल बी ओके, बट now you cannot do punting of highest order, which we also have done. और PSU नहीं चल रहे, चलो मतलब PSU हमारे पास नहीं है, 2 PSU ले लो, ये नहीं चल रहा, ये ऐसे नहीं काम होता. अब क्या है, for the next I think 6 months at least, you will buy only where there is, at least for us who are not into value that way, but little bit of growth, that clear growth होनी चाहिए. और इसलिए रिजल्ट के बाद शेयर खरीदे जाएंगे, hoping कि अभी 4-5 महीने तक till the next result comes, and the guy who does badly, no excuse will be accepted, because what happens in real life is that when a company is doing well for long and then disappoints, it is not possible कि वो अगले क्वार्टर में फिर ठीक कर दे, because अगर उसको अगला क्वार्टर ठीक लगता है ना, वो अभी डिसअपॉइंट नहीं करेगा, वो कुछ खींच खाच के निकाल देगा पीरियड. See, the guy who disappoints is himself frustrated in life कि मैं 4 साल से मेरा स्टॉक चल रहा था, let's say these banks, IDFC, IndusInd, ये बेचारे 5-5 साल पीछे चले गए हैं in their result, in their stock price. So when they disappointed, and before that they were not disappointing, let's say, or मतलब ठीक चल रहे थे. When you disappoint, you will fucking bang your head कि by God किसी तरीके से I should avoid this because फिर मारेंगे मुझे. So that means you disappoint when you say I cannot do it anymore like this. I have to reset my life. So for example, HDFC Bank used to grow 30% in the olden days. फिर उन्होंने बीच में कहा अब हम 25 ग्रो कर रहे हैं, उसका जिंदगी भर 25 करा, फिर कहते हैं अब 20, फिर वो 20 ही रहा, फिर आप 15 पे आ गए हैं, जो भी आ गए हैं. Point is you cannot go back so easily unless the whole cycle changes. So one more thing that we have is, do not buy a fellow who says it is 1 quarter, because if it was 1 quarter, he will find a way to not do it, unless once in a while, maybe not. As a thumb rule, I am talking. बट ओवरऑल क्या है कि अभी भी कुछ कुछ सेक्टर ठीक रहेंगे, जैसे फाइनेंशियल के मोटे वाले ठीक है, उनके वो एनबीएफसी 2-4 ठीक है, जो ठीक है वो चलेगा बेसिकली मेरे हिसाब से ये है, till the market again becomes willing to say big picture, because one thing that has happened is that the government has stopped spending, and that also was very obvious. I've been saying it for 6-9 months. Big picture, why? So in the past, the revenue growth of the government was twice the GDP growth, thrice the GDP growth. हमारी GDP growth होती है suppose 11%, मतलब 7% GDP growth real terms में, 5% inflation. So suppose 11% हो गई. So we keep saying हमारे tax collections are up 25%, 30%. And that was true because previously people were not paying or they were not part of the tax bracket. And now they have come into the टैक्स ब्रैकेट. बट वो जो कंप्लायंस रिलेटेड रेवेन्यू वो तो हो गया ना, कितनी बार करते रहोगे जिंदगी में उसको, तो वो तो बाद में 11-12 ही होना होता है, 15 हो जाएगा अगर कोई ज्यादा कुछ इधर मारोगे हाथ पार, तभी डाइवर्स करोगे, ये करोगे. सो इसलिए यू कैन नॉट ग्रो एट दैट रेट. सो इजी थिंग इज गॉन आई थिंक फॉर एटलीस्ट 6-9 months. बेस में आ जाएगा, देन मे बी विल पीपल विल मूव ऑन.
So broad markets, rally is kind of more or less over, and markets will turn narrow now. Is what you are,
and in favor of larger names and the guys who can handle this period, and we have seen that many have not been able to handle, and some are being ignored. For example, these things which are heavily protected cannot be a model here, because अभी चाइना की डील हो गई इंडिया से, अब सडनली क्या होगा, these Indian guys think that the auto guys cannot be allowed. Of course they can be allowed. All they have to do is they will do a deal with JSW, with Adani, with somebody where Adani will take 51%, let us say. अब तो अलाउड है ना, उसको फिर पैसे ज्यादा देने, उसको रॉयल्टी दे दो, उसको कुछ और दे दो, उसका कंपोनेंट महंगा ले लो, so that effectively he is making 76% and you are making 24. Suppose, I don't know, I'm saying just big picture. To say that this will be avoided cannot be avoided. अब ये फास्ट मूविंग इलेक्ट्रिकल गुड है, वो सारे आई चाइना से रहे हैं, उसको क्यों नहीं अलाउड? अगर वो नहीं अलाउड है, वो what he will do is he will set up a company in Vietnam. And ये जो कंपनी विल बी कॉल्ड वियतनाम इंटरनेशनल, और वियतनाम वाला उसको रॉयल्टी दे देगा. तुम्हें क्या पता लगेगा, इंडिया को भी कैसे पता लगेगा कि कौन सी चीज है ये? सो टू थिंक दैट वी कैन लिव इन अ प्रोटेक्टेड एनवायरनमेंट, हमारे यहाँ तो ये नहीं आ सकता, वो नहीं, सब आता है और आएगा. बट एनीवे, एवरी टाइम we shake hand with China, can't be we'll start panicking. Oh my God, no, like right now today somebody told me this. Now people in market are worried that auto will come. So point is this model that same thing they are doing in solar cells. I mean, वहां पे you please type कूड़े से सस्ता बिकता है, यहाँ पे 80p दे दो जी उसको, क्योंकि 2 साल के ऑर्डर है. It is being thrown away. I tweeted an article that solar panels are being used as fencing. This was a Financial Times article, because it is so cheap. वो कहते हैं क्या करें इसका, चलो पैनल वो बना दो, फेंसिंग बना दो. यहाँ पे नहीं जी, उसकी तो प्रोटेक्शन है, उसकी तो प्रोटेक्शन है. कुछ प्रोटेक्शन का प्रोटेक्शन कैन बी bypassed like this, and even if it is not bypassed, you cannot give it a high multiple because you think it will be bypassed. It may not be bypassed, but the market in theory is not supposed to give it a growth multiple as if वो कोई lever बन गया with 20% growth. तो ये है हमारी big picture. अब आप we can do whatever you say.
Sure. So within this big picture, in which I would say school of thought you belong to, the correction in the overall broad markets that we have seen, which is around say 10% in the frontline Nifty, around maybe 20% in the broader markets beyond Nifty. So is this kind of more or less decent correction, so given the current liquidity, which is like this time?
So मेरे ख्याल से market में आपको correction ज़्यादा नहीं दिखेगा, because remember I call market as 500, not as mid and small. उसमें क्या है, 70% is large names. उसमें भी अब सबके जब रिजल्ट आ गए हैं या आ जाएंगे 10-5 दिन में, तो और जिसने डिसअपॉइंट करना है, he can fall 5-7%, and then you will gravitate towards the guy who for 6-9 months, because the thing is, in our market, the guy who disappoints and falls, he does not become like cheaper. Like lever 5% गिर जाए, तो it doesn't, if somebody was not willing to buy today, because it corrects 5%, and that also on some news of bad news. See, if something is falling without bad news, somebody can say 5% cheap हो गया, लेकिन आपने disappoint किया और मैं 5% गिर गया, तो इसमें क्या बात बनी? Correct? So that's why I was saying that the winners will be whoever is giving some good results for 6-9 months till you figure out, and you can see it. It's already happening. The guy was a good result goes up 5-6%. The guy was a bad result goes down 7-8-10%. But मुझे फिर भी लगता है कि index level में you will not see a big fall because index is sticky. The index is sticky, and the index itself, at least Nifty, is up only 12% per annum for 3 years, which is lower than all these numbers I showed you, whether you take 5 year, 7 year, 9 year, 10 year, 15 year, 20 year, and 25 year for Nifty. It is lower than all of them.
No, all these numbers that you showed were...
And also अभी, because इस महीने में आपको ये भी सिखाया गया कि भैया you have to value the downside, whatever. It doesn't go down 20%. So there'll be a little bit of this thing towards it. So I think you will not see an index fall being very big, because we are also believing that एक तो वहाँ पे Trump will win. अब let's see whether that happens or not. I hope it does. So if Trump wins, US market will be good. Although in theory, the US market doing well initially will be at the expense of emerging market, because China में वो कहेंगे कि टैरिफ लगा, अगर लगाएगा पहले तो टैरिफ, लेकिन जब भी लगेगा it will be after Feb. वो Jan 20th को तो president बनेगा. बीच में people will say, and I also believe that he will not really do it to the full extent. Maybe it's a bargaining. Because इतना brainless तो नहीं होगा कि 50%, 20% tariff लगा दो. But it is the current issue which is there. But I think the world will be okay, and as a market, I mean. So if the world is okay, we can be down, but we are not going to be like falling apart. And we are already down, and our year-to-date return of the Nifty is now like 11%. So अब हम शरीफ से लग रहे हैं, not these wild.
Sure. There is another, understanding that whenever there's a rate cut in the US, that leads to a drastic fall, in fact, in the emerging markets. Why does that happen?
नहीं, ये गलत है. ये आप ना एक दो इंसिडेंट ले रहे हो. For example, in the period 2004 to 7 जो हमारा बुल रन हुआ है ना, sorry, इंटरेस्ट रेट कट अगर क्राइसिस टाइम पे होता है, तो क्राइसिस को हमेशा इंडिया को वर्स्ट गिनते थे पहले, बिकॉज वो कहेंगे यहाँ करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट है या फॉरेनर इज पुलिंग बैक. बट आई डोंट थिंक, प्लीज, दीज आर लॉजिकली नहीं बनता. कभी कभी बन गया होगा, बट आई एम श्योर आई कैन फाइंड सम अदर ways of saying कि उस पीरियड में नहीं बढ़ा था and all that. So I don't agree with that so much. But अभी by the way वहाँ पे interest rate कट भी नहीं होगा बहुत ज़्यादा. In fact, one of the smartest guys there, the Stanley Druckenmiller, who's like, he had 30-year returns of 30% per annum. He was George Soros का CIO. तो वो उसकी इंटरव्यू आप टाइप करो, बहुत ही ब्रिलियंट आदमी है. वो कहता है कि he is shorting US Treasury. वो कहते हैं इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ने चाहिए. That the Federal Reserve is underestimating inflation. Plus, everybody believes that Trump will increase fiscal deficit by some $8 trillion or something like that over his 4 years, and Kamala Harris will do it by $4 trillion. Of course, Elon Musk कहता है मैं cost cutting करूँगा, देखते हैं. But अभी तो लोग उल्टे वो ले रहे हैं. I saw an interview with Paul Tudor Jones. By the way, मेरा इन्वेस्टर भी है. So Paul Tudor Jones CNBC में कहता है that we are taking inflation trades as a Trump trade. तो भाई इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ जाएगी, इसलिए सब गोल्ड ले रहे हैं, यूएस ट्रेजरीज को शॉर्ट कर रहे हैं. सो अभी इंटरेस्ट रेट का पता नहीं, बट वो पुराने वाली चीजें गई 1 मिनट में, बाद में फिर देखते हैं क्या होता है. एंड इंडिया वाले ने बोल दिया है कि वी आर नॉट डूइंग, इंडिया विल हैव टू डू एट दिस रेट. यार क्या हालत हो गई हमारी इकोनॉमी की, बिकॉज स्पेंडिंग भी नहीं हो रही. You see, India का देखिए, in February when the budget came, what is that budget called? Interim budget or whatever it's called, the election year wala. So there they said that our fiscal deficit will be 5.1%. Okay. Then in between, they got this big dividend from RBI, which was more than the normal. I think normally they say 10 billion डालना चाहिए, 25 billion आ गया. But the 10 billion in the assumptions कि $10 billion मिलेगा, वो some 25,000 को some 20, पता नहीं क्या, वो $25 billion था. Okay. So because the government did not do as well in the election, the thinking was that they will spend that money and give it to the public and all, or do cut some tax, whatever. But instead, the government said that our fiscal deficit target now is 4.95, which is the current target, which is actually very good. But bottom line is, government is not spending. They were expected to spend, and I think they will spend, because unke na wo 3 mahine also they didn't spend because of elections. April, May, June में, what will you spend when June में elections हैं? So that was to have been spent, वो भी नहीं हुआ अभी तक, पता नहीं है, let's hope. So वो भी नहीं हो रहा, और monetary भी कहते हैं हमें कट नहीं करना, तो हालत खराब हो गई हमारे देश की थोड़ी सी.
So there is another learning, insight, or understanding that everybody has had over last 5, 7, 10 years, that market works in cycles of value to growth to quality, and then sees a correction. Now at this juncture, where do you see market kind of panning out? Because many of these quality stocks like Asian Paints, all these stocks have not performed for so many years.
They will not perform now also, because हम quality गिनते थे consumer को ना. But अगर consumer की हालत खराब है, या लीवर कहता है मैं वहां पर 1% ग्रोथ है और नेस्ले की -1 है, और नेस्ले वाला रोता है कि मिडिल क्लास हैज डिसअपीयर्ड, तो हम कहीं क्वालिटी लेते हैं. ऐसा होती क्वालिटी का मतलब होता है कि उस वक्त क्वालिटी के वो करो प्रॉपर व्हाटएवर मींस, उस वक्त आप परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी करो व्हेन द वर्ल्ड इज डूइंग बैडली. नाउ यू आर लीडिंग द थिंग, यू आर पार्ट ऑफ दैट. कोई क्वालिटी नहीं है, क्वालिटी हर जगह ढूंढ लेते हैं. क्यों हमारे HDFC बैंक में क्वालिटी क्या प्रॉब्लम है? क्वालिटी का मतलब क्या होता है? क्वालिटी का जनरल पुराने जमाने में मतलब था दैट डिफेंसिव. That is what quality meant. It's not that they were somebody great this thing. So अभी वो defensive में, which basically meant consumer, because there are other things are cyclical. But right now the consumer has created not longer term problems. I don't think. एक और बात है, वो थोड़ा बहुत base effect, ये effect, वो, but क्या है कि the competition has become totally different यार. You look at the number of cosmetic brands in India. I mean companies. 50 होंगी कम से कम, 40 तो प्राइवेट इक्विटी फंडेड होंगी. फिर वो सारे रिलायंस वाला कहता है मैंने करना है, शॉपर शॉप कहता है मैंने करना. ऑल दीज थिंग प्रीवियसली वर डन बाय लीवर्स एंड वो जो भी 2-4 और होते थे हमारे लिस्टेड यूनिवर्स के लोग. अभी इमेजिन दैट टाइटन हैज टू फाइट विद ट्रेंट. ट्रेंट सेड आई विल आल्सो डू ज्वेलरी. पहले सब नहीं होता था, अब फ्री फॉर ऑल है. सो द ग्रोथ माइट बी देयर. But the player, that's why I totally have been saying, I totally don't buy these fridge companies, AC companies, microwave companies, because every guy in the whole country wants to make those things, because they all go to 2-3 underlying manufacturers and अपना स्टैम्प लगा देते हैं. वो फ्लिपकार्ट कहेगा मुझे करना है, रिलायंस कहेगा मुझे करना है, क्रोमा कहेगा मुझे करना है, वो कोरियन कहेगा मुझे करना है, जापानीज कहेगा मुझे करना है. देयर आर टू मेनी गाइस, बट वी सी ओनली द लिस्टेड 2-3 गाइस. सो ग्रोथ माइट बी देयर. So quality is okay, but we can call quality whatever we own is also quality. But we are not going to own a lever, ITC अभी के लिए. फिर देखते हैं बाद में सब.
And what is the view on financial services sector? Is that still the dominant sector in your portfolio?
You only see, you tell me. अगर कहीं अच्छी ग्रोथ आई है वो भी फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर में ही आई है. ऑफ कोर्स गंदी वाली भी उसी में आई है, बट द गंदी वाली इज ऑल लिंक्ड टू माइक्रो फाइनेंस. सो वी हैव अ फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर फंड. वी डिडंट हैव, although that stock has done well, Bandhan Bank, IndusInd Bank, RBL Bank, IDFC First Bank, or any of the, because सबको बोले तो जा रहे थे रोज, 4-5 महीने से बोल रहे हैं. 3-4 months ago we had 2 of these, IDFC and IndusInd. Not in this fund maybe, but we had it generally across. But अखबार भी तो पढ़ना चाहिए.
IT sector has not performed for so long.
IT sector actually has done okay. It has done okay from June. And we have bought it after the budget and after election. Now it is some 13-14% of our listing from 2-3%. It's okay. It's not done great because I didn't buy it before the run, but I may have got 4-5%, which is okay because the market in that time might be zero now. And I may have made 3-4-5%. But उसमें कम से कम ये डर नहीं लगता that it's falling 10%, although that also one fell, KPIT. वो भी auto से था. But generally they don't fall 10%. And now at least as I'm saying, we are buying after results here mostly. अब हम डर गए हैं कि pre-result कोई चीज खरीदो 10% उड़ जाता है.
So talking about frontline stocks, when we say that around 11 to 12% return as an average return of last 3 years, and we know that the top two sectors are IT and financial services.
Correct.
And the frontline stocks in IT and financial services, we know generally like HDFC Bank, for example, or TCS, for example, if we pick one stock each from respective sector, have not performed in last 3 years.
Yeah, correct.
The two frontline stocks and heavyweight stocks.
3 years, I don't know about Infi and all. 20, maybe they have not. I should have put that down also. Because the 12% return, correct. Maybe it's Maruti types and Tata Motor types which have done this. Possible, yeah. Possible.
So in the subsequent bull run, will these two sectors and some of these stocks be dominant?
Don't say subsequent bull run because I am not saying a bull run. Bull run का मतलब होता है कि बड़ा कोई अच्छा मतलब ये तो हमारा average type return है ना जो हमारा history का है. No, sometimes it can be below average also. I'm saying अगर आपका longer term average 13-14% है, 15-14 और last 3 साल का 12 है. So first of all, you're not starting at a wrong time. Second is, in these sectors also where if you say, I must be right कि they have not done too much before 3 years में, उनका भी अब थोड़ी visibility भी है और थोड़ी उनकी market preference भी हो जाएगी once you see volatility like this. See, when the market is going one way, why would you buy HDFC Bank over, say, IDFC First Bank? Why would you buy? अब क्या थप्पड़ पड़े हैं तो now you'll say we should have some of that also because we don't want to be blown out, suppose. So it's a mix and match. Plus, abhi the foreigners have sold a lot. Which means big picture, they have sold financials a lot because that is the biggest part. So we also have to say that this is not the normal stance of foreigners that you sell 10 billion in a month. And after selling 10 billion a month, I think HDFC Bank, for example, is about 0. I think maybe it's down, pata nahi, 2-4% hoga this month. So, that's how you win your credibility back. And the blind bullishness, I think, cannot be there. So when the blind bullishness is not there, people will gravitate towards larger things. Instead of buying a small cap fund, you will buy a large and mid fund, flexi fund, whatever. Just to tell you from our side. So we had mid cap approval 4-5 months ago. You can type and see. We are not launching. We did not launch. We instead launched a large and mid because of longer term के लिए. But basically हमने कहा हम mid and small या mid नहीं कर रहे. Even after having that approval before this. तो वो थोड़ा सा obvious है. अब इन लोगों ने जो डिफेंस फंड किए ये सब फंड किए अपनी ही बेइज्जती करा रहे हैं ना. क्या फायदा हुआ कि आपको मिल गए 2000 करोड़? मतलब फायदा क्या हुआ? आपने बना लिए कोई 0.5% जो फी मिलती है. हमें ऐसे नहीं करना है. हमें इज्जत भी चाहिए साथ में. So, but I still think that the large cap will outperform or at least be competitive. And if it is competitive, then there is no need to go anywhere because then you get less volatility, you sleep well, and generally okay. But if your result is bad, it is not changing in 3 months.
So, this brings me to maybe, one very important question. We are alternatives focused platform, PMS AIF world. And we know within PMSs, portfolios are more focused around, say, 20-25 stocks versus, say, mutual funds.
Correct.
Now, when markets have turned narrow, versus when they were broad in last 5 years, and when you're saying a few stocks, depending upon results, should do well, mutual funds will definitely underperform because they will not be able to.
I agree with you. अब क्या होगा कि the concentration will help because now you need only 20 stocks and you buy even if they are obvious ones, but you buy those जिसमें growth नजर आ गई है कि बंदे के पास है 2-4-8 quarter के लिए and valuations are sort of okay. Don't have to be cute also. I agree with that.
And if you have to start, say, any other sectoral fund.
One more thing, even for us, the mid-cap में क्या होता है, mid-cap में mutual fund में क्या होता है, the tail also helped. Because the smaller guys were doing well. So even if you bought 1% and 5, वो भी 25% बढ़ गया तो आपके 2% extra मिल गए. Correct, I agree with that.
So, if you are to start any other fund, sectoral fund, which would that fund be? What sector focused fund that
No,
would?
we are not going to do any more sector fund right now. We only wanted to do financial because we keep telling the world that financial sector, is our top this thing, and actually it's done okay. मतलब it's up some. It's up. It's at least in that fund we track, we are number one since inception, which is March. And 10-11 पता नहीं कितने नहीं अब तो कम हो गए होंगे पता नहीं 5-6% बने जो भी बने nothing great but okay, but that we like and we believe in it because it's not just the banks, it's banks plus NBFCs plus market intermediaries, brokers, Paytm, ये वो बड़ी सारी चीजें आ जाती हैं उसमें. So but I don't think that we are going to do another sector fund for at least 9-12 months. उसके बाद who knows.
What about some of these new age stocks, digital consumer tech stocks like Zomato, which have done really well over
We like all the three, but you can't make a fund because you like three stocks.
yeah,
And
that's
because we are actually, they're not my top holding because I don't buy these companies to that extent. But actually, they are the best three now. उनकी तीनों की growth होनी है. Zomato, Paytm, PB Fintech. Did you have any others in mind? But I'm talking about these three.
no, these three. I had these three in mind because I know.
उसमें क्या है कि तीनों के रिजल्ट भी अच्छे आए हैं मतलब ठीक है जो भी है एंड उनकी स्टोरी ठीक है और वो थोड़ी अलग है फ्रॉम द मार्केट एंड कंज्यूमर सेंटिमेंट एंड ऑल दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टफ.
Abhi, of late, money had moved from India to China. FIs are pulling out, and there was this narrative going on that maybe FIs are moving money out from India or other emerging markets, and kind of that is going into China. And Chinese market also went up by 25-30%.
No. Actually, I tweeted this yesterday also, but I had been saying it कि India से China नहीं गया. कैसे? Logic पहले सोचो फिर actual number. So this month the Chinese market is not up. Okay, it's down some 3-4%. So
Right.
जो आदमी इतना desperately he's selling India. Why will he be desperate if the other market was going up right now? Then you can imagine, यार he's panicking. He doesn't have enough in China. He underweighted. Now उसकी बेइज्जती हो रही है. उसको गालियां दे रहे हैं. So he wants to sell India to buy China, but China is not going up this month.
Yeah.
So this month selling, I was saying, I said it in this Diwali interview also, China nahi ja rahe. And yesterday I tweeted because it reinforced what I was saying, that there is something you can see, कि the Goldman Sachs and flow जो देखते हैं, that it has gone to US. And I also was saying the same thing, logical. If you're selling desperately, why are you desperate? India कोई खराब तो नहीं हो रहा था, ठीक है. So where is the deadline currently in the world? The deadline is November 5th. That there's an event.
Yeah.
And the whole world is playing Trump. Trump winning, they associate with US rally. Because they say tax cut and pata nahi kya cut and capital gains cut, jo bhi. So, and that is what that article said. But I did it from logic that if China is going up, then you can, according to that article, China also they are selling. But separately, I like China now. I have invested from my global fund like 5-7% more. Because I feel that the fund managers of the world, in that fund, we don't care so much because China is not a part. But the guys who are doing India, China, yo. That if China has paid them last month in September, now they've been given time. They will not say, no, I don't care, I will still be same underweight. Because here you've seen the pain of how badly they were hit. Because they were really hit. Because अगर market 25% बढ़ जाए और आप 5-10% underweight हो, इतने तो हो गए ना 25 के बदले 15, आपके तो गए 4-5 और underperforming for the year. Goodbye. So, and the second is, China is incredibly cheap. And the third thing was not there, the government was saying, get lost. But now government is also, it looks, it's under some pressure. So every day they will do something. So my bet is that after Trump wins, if he wins, then China will announce their next steps. Because they have to also counter what he says now or what he does. भाई वो आगे बोले कि मैं तो 20% टैरिफ बढ़ा रहा हूं, तो उस दिन के लिए भी तो कोई मसाला होना चाहिए ना गवर्नमेंट के पास, because it is such a head to head 1-to-1. What is the point of them today panicking and doing things, because if Kamala wins, मैं भी वैसे China बढ़ जाएगा 2%, 5%, क्योंकि वो बच गए हम. So all these things are now pretty complicated, but they are in the end game. They are in the end game. So एक हफ्ते में सब देखें क्या क्या होता है.
What is your overall reading of, whatever financial results, quarterly results that have come so far?
Oh, they were very bad, yeah, very bad. That's what I'm saying. Consumer is basically bad. It's just that we thought we knew consumer. So ये वाले हमारे पास नहीं थे, but हमारे वाले Zomato, Varun Beverage वगैरह, which are not bad. We have been playing for the last few months कि results यार पक्का ठीक होना चाहिए देखने में, उसमें भी खराब आते हैं हमारे, जैसे वो खराब आ गया KPIT, which I didn't think was so bad, but I keep telling the world that auto is doing badly, but I had it and I still have it. We didn't sell any. In fact, we bought a little. But the point being, results have not been good in general. But where they are good, they have been rewarded beyond what they would have been in a normal situation. Because end mein, the mutual fund guys have money. And they will still get money, maybe less money, more money. वो करेंगे क्या? So देखो, ICICI, everybody knew is generally okay. It went up yesterday, went up today also. Because now somebody will say, oh, whatever I sold in this bank, that bank, third bank, I want safety, I want to sleep, I want to see Netflix in the night. Please buy me these obvious things.
All these, segments which performed kind of really well in last 1 year, Diwali 2023 to 24, initially like PSUs, and likewise, you kind of seldom participated in that, reluctantly participated.
We had defense guys and railway.
Okay.
तो डिफेंस वाले तो हमने तो इलेक्शन के बाद की बजट के बाद सारे उड़ा दिए. हमने HP BP भी उड़ा दिया, हमारे पास ये IRCTC है, वो सब खत्म कर दिया. बिकॉज
अब तो गिर चुके हैं ना अराउंड 30% के आसपास.
कुछ नहीं लेने का सब. क्या करोगे उसको लेके? अब मैं बता रहा हूँ ना, व्हेन अ स्टोरी गोज आउट it never comes back यार. वो फिर नेक्स्ट साइकिल में वापस आता है. ऐसा होता है अब गिर गया फिर ले लो ना, अब कोई नई चीजें होंगी लाइफ में. वो नई चीजें उसमें कोई ऑनगोइंग अनाउंसमेंट्स हो रही हो, कोई ऑनगोइंग इवेंट्स हो रहे हो. नॉर्मल कंपनी के लिए किसी को नहीं चाहिए कि आप खाना सप्लाई करते हो. आप हमें रोज सुबह उठ के सुनाओ कि अब 500 वंदे भारत आ रही हैं, अब 750 दूसरी आ रही है, इतनों को ऑर्डर मिल गया, फिर मजा आता है. आपको जब खाना देते हैं और वो बात भी बंद हो जाए, ट्रेन कितनी हो रही है, एवरीबॉडी मूव्स ऑन इन लाइफ यार. हु हैज द एनर्जी?
But still, now the way markets have been kind of hovering range bound, and then there's a pressure downwards. When you are getting fresh money in your mutual fund or in your PMS, or, when you are allocating that with a 3-year or 5-year perspective, when you buy stock or increase weights in certain sectors.
First of all, this is all a story that you buy with a 3-year view. You buy a stock with a 3-year view, which you're also willing to buy with a 1-year view. So जो steady compounder होता है, उसको आप कहते हो हम तो 5 साल के लिए ले रहे हैं. आप 5 साल के लिए थोड़ा ले रहे हो, आप उसको you are buying it for every period. But if somebody comes and tells me, like they told me for this, means they told the world, but I don't buy into this new IPO of this big auto company which came. If you have a 5-year view, it is very good. I mean, are we gadhas or what? If it doesn't have the next 2-year view, then you tell me after 2 years, no. So the point is, we are buying companies where we have held them for many, many years. In fact, for example, just to tell you, Paytm fell down, 60%, and we did not sell. And we bought along the way. So where we have some angle कि हाँ ये ठीक है चीज, we are willing to handle it. So you can say we bought it for the long term. But ऐसे नहीं होता ना कि you are buying 3 years, so therefore you can buy it today and therefore in 3 years it will become okay. ना पहले भी नजर तो आएगी कुछ हो रहा है. So you are buying with a 1-year view and hoping that these things will continue. But if the energy of that sector is gone, energy का मतलब होता है, let's say till budget time, no, till election time or budget time, whatever, these are all sort of in the same. We thought that BPCL will be privatized. And we were broadly right in thinking, because some 5-7 days after the budget, or maybe after election, Mr. Puri, the oil minister, said BPCL is no longer on the table. But BPCL had never been formally put on the table, but it was obvious that it will be done. Why? Because the same government 2 years ago had tried to sell it. This government only, not some Vajpayee government. So when they said we will do big reforms and we will do good things, you logically think अब क्या क्या कर सकते हो? तो कोई बोलेगा privatization करेंगे, कोई बोलेगा unlocking of real estate करेंगे, तो किसी ने NBCC ले लिया, हमने BPCL ले लिया, क्योंकि BPCL 2 years ago they were trying to privatize and it could not be privatized according to news of that day, of those days, कि भाई people were against ESG related, because of ESG related issues, oil and gas. अब वो सब खत्म हो गया. Second is, leading up to the election, the government did not cut oil prices except only once they did it. And that also some 2 rupees. So which we didn't consider that. So it looked that you are setting the ground so that if the buyer says, no, you interfere in prices, they can say, nahi ji, humne to election mein bhi nahi kaata, which was fair. And they were building that case. It was so obvious. And then because the election results or whatever, तो अब हम उसमें क्या स्टोरी बनाए? अब हम ऐसे ऑयल एंड ऐसे हमें खरीदने के लिए थोड़ा चाहिए थी ये कंपनी. What I'm saying is many of these things you move on. So there are 500 companies to look for. Now I have told you what we will do with new money. We will go primarily into stocks where we think that the visibility of earnings is very high. Unless you said something is super cheap and therefore don't care, but वो ऐसे होता कुछ नहीं है, because we always fear a बाद में ले लेंगे kind of thing. I'm just telling you exactly what the strategy is.
What are the other big picture?
So when we do that, even then we'll be disappointed because we'll think कि this company तो guaranteed अच्छे results हैं, forget about, and then it will not have one of them or two of them. But generally as a pool, I am not going to do bad result bottom fishing. Because according to me, there is a thing called a momentum of fundamentals. When a company does well, it continues to do well till it does badly. And when it starts doing badly, it continues to do badly till it does well. अब ICICI को देखो, आजकल उसके momentum of fundamentals are top class. आपको टेंशन नहीं होती, नहीं वो तो रिजल्ट दे ही देगा, वो तो क्यों दे देता है जब सारे नहीं देते, बट उसकी चल रही है जिंदगी में आजकल. वो एक दिन नहीं देगा, जिस दिन नहीं देगा उस दिन वो 10% गिरेगा, उस दिन यू हैव टू बी आउट एंड नॉट श्योर नहीं दिस इज वन ऑफ, बिकॉज फिर वो 6 साल तक नहीं देगा जैसे HDFC बैंक नहीं देता. It is just the way of organizations that when you are doing well, everybody is charged up, everything is happening, you are doing everything. Suddenly, when you are about to disappoint, you will bang your head on the wall. I should not disappoint. But if you disappoint, सब नीचे हो जाएगा ऐसे यार, अब इतना नहीं हो सकता. We can't keep delivering like this. We were for the last 5 years on a treadmill, every day meet analyst expectations. वो 4 बंदों को हार्ट अटैक हो गया, 5 मर गए. नहीं, अब हम 20% ट्राई नहीं करेंगे. We will try sustainable and it will become lower, and then maybe a new. That is the thing.
Big picture view on India as an economy and Indian stock market, say over next 1 year from here onwards.
So as I said, I am thinking this 10, 12, 15% type return with, मतलब इतना आसान नहीं होगा, but इसी range में हो जाए तो will go quite good.
Where is world otherwise headed, in terms of risk, in terms of
risk, what supposedly from all these books that I keep reading is that the US debt is too high. And उसमें भी ये और ऐड करने वाले हैं. And I am reading this book, क्या नाम है पता नहीं, रुचिर शर्मा की बुक है, अच्छी बुक है वैसे, बेचारे मॉर्गन स्टैनली वाला जो था. And he's saying this is the actual deficit. But in addition are these promises that they have made on social security and Medicaid and all, which is like a guarantee unless they say, sorry, अब नहीं मिलेगा. As of now, those off the book commitments are another some 30-40 trillion. तो big picture long term में ये issue है. But अभी कितना long term है, 25 साल long term है कि 5 साल long term, who the hell knows. आप 5% gold लेके उसको अलग कर दो और क्या ये हो सकता है, इसमें क्या कर सकते हैं. Because the confidence in US might be for 25 more years because there is no other alternative. Who will have confidence in China or India in terms of these things? Nobody will have. कि भाई हम इंडियन करेंसी लेके सो जाएंगे, कोई नहीं करेगा. चाइना कोई नहीं करेगा कि कौन उसको दे, कोई नहीं करेगा, तो यूएस चलता रहेगा, लैक ऑफ ऑल्टरनेटिव्स.
There are a few questions on the chat. Would you
One
like?
thing is saying, can China default big time? Absolutely zero chance. Yeah, zero chance. When you for the world, you are a creditor. आप अपने इंटरनल सिस्टम में कुछ भी हो, उसमें वर्ल्ड को क्या मतलब है? So you cannot default. He doesn't owe anything to the world. Also, Kansaji.
What is your
problem for these MFI banks? It may be, but I don't think they are going up for 6, 9, 12 months till somebody can see it, because this pain, normally does. You look at Bandhan Bank, all its life it has been warning us. कभी बारिश आ जाती है, फिर फ्लड आ जाता है, फिर earthquake आ जाता है, फिर इलेक्शन हो जाते हैं, फिर ये जाता है. It is just beyond normal. These.
view on semiconductor industry?
There is no stock. I am not interested in कि किसी ने पैकेज कर लिया, किसी ने 200 करोड़ रुपए डाल के. If you want to see what is semiconductor industry, please just type and see what is the capex of the companies which are in semiconductor. Like TSMC, one thing will be about $50 billion. तो हमारे 400 मिलियन में कागज रैप कर दिया, श्रिंक कर दिया, ये सब फालतू चीजें हमें नहीं चाहिए, because these are all, somebody's private company. They can be.
Auto sector, वैसे otherwise, for a populous country like India and developing country like India, is like supposed to be very important sector, but it has also not performed for so many years.
It's the worst possible investment sector ever. And I've been saying it for 2 years, although I've been wrong for 1.5 years. So the logic is as follows. That I'm talking about four-wheeler wale gun. ये जो बंदे हमारे हैं, absolute. Okay, so let's do big picture. So you are making IC cars, and the world tells you that now you are supposed to make EV cars. It is not that you thought I should do it because मेरे को बड़ा profit बनेगा या मेरी ज़्यादा sale हो जाएगी. The system, जो भी कह लो, the society, whatever, आपको कहा कि EV car बनाओ. अब EV car बनाने के लिए everybody has to spend billions of dollars. Not millions of dollars. If you type on Google and say EV budget of Volkswagen, जिसके लिए collapse हो रहा है, the budget will come to $200 billion. अगर हमारे टाटा मोटर टाइप का करोगे तो 3 billion a year for 5 years. तो ये सब पैसे complete murder of money हो गए ना, because आपकी पुरानी गाड़ी चल रही थी, आपने बिना बात में मींस क्लाइमेट के लिए बोला है, but from an economics point of view, you suddenly said, please make the new car. So all these guys now have to switch and make new cars, but nobody said that if you make EV cars, the amount of sales, the sale volume will go up. Nobody said your profit will go up, but you have to do it because that is the new sort of requirement. But in addition, what happened? There were 20, 50 other guys who were not interested in making IC cars. But when they heard about this transition, they said, this, we are also interested. So Tesla said, I am also interested. Rivian said, I am also interested. All these Chinese guys, वो BYD, वो Xiaomi, पता नहीं कौन, they all said, we are also interested. तो उसी इंडस्ट्री में 5 के बदले 50 आ गए, या पता नहीं 5 नहीं, मतलब whatever. Worldwide 25 के बदले 40 हो गए. Now please tell me how that, and now nobody knows whose EV will be good. Then in addition, the Chinese guys are so cheap and so good. आप YouTube में जाके Chinese car की शक्लें तो देखो. Now the Indian guys are saying, हम तो protected हैं. Bull. That's what I'm saying. Because all they have to do is, they will, like JSW has done with MG, somebody will do with somebody, and okay, you have majority control, but I give you the kit. And then you give me a higher price so that effectively I make 75% profits. में क्या है इसमें? It's allowed in the world. You can't, and you can't give multiples for hiding. We are basically giving, second thing, third thing, fourth thing, whatever it is, for every company you can see PE. Abhi, please all you guys, and then you please type PE of BMW. Then type PE of Daimler. Then type PE of Volkswagen. Okay, please, after that, please put on this chat. 1 minute, please. You will find 3, 4 with cash. ये सेक्टर कोई प्राइवेट सेक्टर नहीं है हमारा कि इंडिया में तो हम ऐसे करते हैं, ये ऐसा सेक्टर नहीं है, बिकॉज देयर आर 20 कंपेटिटर्स फॉरेनर्स ऑलरेडी देयर. इट्स नॉट अ सेक्टर की ना इसमें तो कोई आ नहीं सकता. दे आर ऑल देयर. इट्स जस्ट अ मैटर ऑफ डूइंग सम डील हियर और देयर, Can't escape that. अरे टेस्ला which started EV is basically now talking about autonomous and what वाली BMW 4.5. बताओ फिर हम क्या 12P में कहते हैं बड़ा सस्ता है हमारा. So anyway, so Tesla डर गया. So that's why Tesla says I'll make robots and I'll do autonomous and I'll do this driverless Uber. वो बेचारा EV में अपने आप भाग रहा है, हम EV करने जा रहे हैं हीरो बन के. Absolute फालतू. Okay जी, there are opportunities available in Vietnam, Malaysia and no, ये सब हमारा काम नहीं है यार. हम इंडिया ओरिएंटेड बंदे हैं. We can't do all that, and I don't even think that anybody is interested in buying a Malaysian or Indonesian car. अच्छा जी, Volkswagen supposedly has a P of 2.9, and today that also is closing down some German plants. So that's what I'm saying. No, auto sector is बहुत गंदा है because of maximum disruption.
Well, this is really insightful. As always, on such a day, happy Dhanteras to you and to everyone. I think this is a kind of so much wealth of knowledge that you have shared today. Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you. Bye. Guys, happy Diwali. Bye.
Okay.